Love has never been a popular movement, and no one's ever wanted really to be free. The world is held together, really it is held together, by the love and the passion of very few people. Otherwise, of course, you can despair. Walk down the street of any city, any afternoon, and look around you. What you got to remember is what you're looking at is also you. Everyone you're looking at is also you. You could be that person. You could be that monster. You could be that cop. And you have to decide in yourself not to be.
Welcome to this Thursday episode of the Roots Rundown, my Radical Roots fam. It is great to meet y'all here. I'm gonna get my camera right here. I'm sorry about that, folks. It's great to see y'all coming in and folks that are listening. We've got some pretty good feedback from a few different people. And I feel pretty good. We're giving you guys this more bite-sized show because shit is happening. And honestly, it is like trying to drink out of a fire hose, trying to follow all the things that are happening, whether it be nationally, internationally, intergalactically, or state or local wise. And what I want to do is just give it a human touch. Not everything feels like we're just talking about headlines, but what it means to us, to the human experience, what it means to those of us who actually want to be ourselves and not feel like we're being squeezed into these tight boxes. So thank you guys for joining us again to the Roots Rundown. I am your host for the brief period, Payron Baxter, and let's just jump into it. So yesterday, and again, those are touring to shit. On Tuesday, we talked about the Rob Reiner and Donald Trump's response to that and how MAGA kind of reacted to that with their level of they even some of them pushed back on it and their level of indifference to a degree. But the march continues on, folks. So yesterday, Trump said that he was going to take to the airwaves to give, I guess, a quasi State of the Union speech, but really just direct to camera craziness, madman talk. I didn't watch it. Did y'all watch it? I didn't watch it. I didn't really care to hear what Donald Trump was talking about. This man is clearly off his meds. He has, some form of dementia. He is clearly an addled mind that is actively trying to, stay out of prison. That was his main reason for even trying to become the presidency. So it was never for you. It was never for any of those people that voted for him. And what's being exposed is the failures of systems. And today's episode is titled The Big Fluff, and how all of these things are built on the sense of inevitability, the sense of powerfulness, the sense of we got it right, the sense of just put us in control. And what that means from a structural, institutional, and interpersonal level of why we can't really move on. Why we can't move on as a country from the fights of 70 years ago. We're somehow rehashing the fights of Brown v. Board of Education, which was 71 years ago. Somehow that needs to be important today. So somehow we're still talking about same-sex marriage. Somehow we're talking about women having the rights to their own bodies. Somehow we don't have these things. It's because of the big fluff. The big fluff. I'm sure as we get into it, you guys will start to pick up patterns and realize these things are happening in your workplace, in your organizations, and your homes, in your beds. The big fluff. So again, I didn't listen to Trump. Honestly, if you guys listen to Trump, from an atheist, whatever that means to you, good on you. But I couldn't do it. But I do have a clip here of just some of the stuff that, honestly, we missed out on. Let's just call it what it is. We missed out. If you didn't watch it, you missed out. So here's Trump, and we'll talk about just the pieces of it and some of the things that really wasn't news breaking or newsworthy, but we'll talk about on the other side.
Bring up housing costs was the colossal border invasion. We have never been invaded. This is the worst thing that, frankly, in my opinion, the worst thing that the Biden administration did to our country is the invasion at the border. The last administration and their allies in Congress brought in millions and millions of migrants and gave them taxpayer-funded housing while your rent and housing costs skyrocketed. Over 60% of growth in the rental.
Okay, just I gotta pause it real quick here. This is just pure Nazi shit. Just to be clear, this is just pure, unabashed Nazi shit. Nazis said the reason we lost World War I was because of the Jews. The Jews, the stabbing, the famous stab in the back. That's what all this was about. This was about the Jews turning on us, and that's the reason Germany isn't great anymore. And again, we're talking about the big fluff, right? The big lies that keep these things going and how they're so pervasive. So this is just a component of it that I wanted you guys to hear. We'll keep going here. But I just wanted to let you know that it's come straight out of Nazi talking points, which again was informed through Confederate American Jim Crow law. So don't forget, we're the OG of this shit. But here we go.
Market came from foreign migrants. At the same time, illegal aliens stole American jobs and flooded emergency rooms, getting free health care and education paid for by you, the American taxpayer. They also increased the cost of law enforcement by numbers so high that they are not even to be mentioned. For the
But you just mentioned them.
First time in 50 years, we are now seeing reverse migration as migrants go
Nazi shit.
Back home, leaving more housing and more jobs for Americans. In the year before my election, all net creation of jobs was going to foreign migrants. Since I took office, 100% of all net job creation has gone to American-born citizens. 100%.
Okay. So again, this was sounds like he spoke for 18 minutes, I believe. You know, grandpa can't do it. He doesn't have the juice no more. He doesn't have his 2016 zhuzh, if you will. He's very much, dare I say, sleepy Don. You guys wanted a non-woke president? You got one. He falls asleep pretty much every time he gets on camera or has one of his North Korean style long dear leader conversations with his cabinet. So with that being said, what is this? What is this, right? As we're talking about the big fluff, the big lies, the national identity. We talked last episode about patriarchy, and we'll continue to talk about patriarchy. This is very much a patriarchal tenet where you have someone saying, I'm being laughed at. I'm not secure enough as a nation, right? Let's talk about patriarchy as it is as a personal ideology. I'm not secure enough within who I am because they're laughing at us. I can't be who I am because of who you are. These are scapegoating manipulation tactics. Again, I talked about who I used to be. I am an alcoholic. I'm 7 years sober, but I still say it present mind. But the reason I say it like that is because I used to say the same sort of shit. The reason I drink is because of you, ex-girlfriend. The reason is because of you. It's because the job. No, I was drinking because I was insecure. I was small. I was a womanizer because I felt incompetent because I saw guys that I thought were more attractive, right? That homosocial perspective, that inability to see that, you know, hey, there are more attractive men and that's okay. But I couldn't deal with that. So I had to try to compete. So Trump is literally doing what any 90s, 80s movie, you know, insecure bully does inside the locker room. They're like, you know, the reason why I beat you is because of you. Why did you make me hit you so hard? Your previous boyfriend was terrible. Now let me be your boyfriend. Now the thing is, you are the boyfriend. And we have to ask the question is, why blaming immigrants and they're the reason they stole your jobs, and we're not blaming the people that hired them. We're not blaming the corporations that solicit these people and exploit their labor. And even D.L. Hughley said that, you know, it's funny, we talk about a system of white supremacy and the idea of black unemployment. There was a time in this country where black unemployment was zero. We were 100% employed. It was called slavery, right? So using these markers that really reinforce a white supremacist narrative is what they rely on, right? So they're not going to say that their buddies who are giving them lobbying dollars to make sure that they're not having any regulations on their hiring practices or their worker safety or collective bargaining. No, the problem is the people themselves who are yearning for a better life. That is the problem. And it works on certain people. And it works on certain people. So for him to say your biggest problem is an immigrant, your biggest problem is an uppity woman, your biggest problem is that trans person, she's for they, them, he's for you. Your biggest problem is that you've never looked in the mirror and be like, well, why the fuck am I getting exploited? Why am I a part of a system? I'm a poor white person. Of course, we always look at this through a black and brown lens. In the system of white supremacy, I'm a poor white person. Why am I on the side of the wealthy, the well-connected, and the well-off? Because what whiteness offers poor white people is this ability to feel like a temporarily embarrassed billionaire. Patriarchy, right? It leads into these delusions of grandeur that I'm actually better than I am. I don't have to actually get better. And if anything happens to me, it's because you made me do it. These immigrants, these women, these differently able people, these queer people, these black people, yada, yada, hell, jingle bell, right? This is how it works. This is how it works. All right. So there was nothing really new out of this whole thing. One thing that I think people talk about that was new, that he's offering this active military stipend. I guess it's in the amount of $1,776 to commemorate the 250th anniversary, if we ever get there, of the United States of America on the 4th of July next year. But you got to ask yourself, like, where's the other money, right? That he's been promising people. Where's your Doge checks? Is that coming after the Doge check, or is that a gift, or is that taxable? We don't even know. And Congress has power of the purse. What law is behind this? This is the lie, and so many people believe the lie. And until we get people on the side to reject those lies, we're going to continue to fall down these rabbit holes. And we just heard James Baldwin at the top of the episode say that this world is held together by a very few amount of people with love in their hearts. Now, if you ask these people, they say they love too. Now, the love they have is for a system of hierarchy. They love a system of hierarchy, and that's not innate. It was put into their brains. It was put into their brains through their churches, through their parents, through their schooling, through the media they consumed. This is where they have this self-idealized sense of importance. And then when that all doesn't work out, where do they lead to? They lead to violence. So check this clip out. This is from OG from the town on Instagram. Shout out to him. But check out this clip here of where, when these lies start to fall apart, what's the next step? Check this out.
War inevitable. Take a look.
Can we just have the Civil War already? Liberals need to experience losing something more than just an election. Like, we have actual soldiers, rednecks, people.
Let me tell you, white folks, MAGA and Trump supporters, house niggas and pandejos who align yourself with that ideology, you will die. I don't know why people are talking Civil War. What are we fighting over? Slavery? See, a lot of you bitches, you're hiding behind the Civil War because ultimately you just want to be free to kill, rape, destroy, burn. You can do that shit now. Why do you need a Civil War?
And you guys can go catch the rest of that video. Again, that's from OG from the town. But that's a great point. These people have been pushed so far to the edge where they feel like all they can do now is commit violence. And the violence needs to go in one direction. Hence, why we could do it January 6th. Hence, why there's good people on both sides in Charlottesville. Hence, why we can make fun of Paul Pelosi being beat in the head. Hence, why we won't put the flags at half-mast for Melissa Hortman and her husband, who were killed execution style with their dog, and their daughter barely survived with her life. Hence, while we can make fun of Rob Reiner and his wife being murdered, again, these brutal, brutal murders. But why we must put Donald Trump's violent assassination attempts on t-shirts? Because he's inevitable. He's powerful. He's strong. And with that, there are to lead into this idea of inevitability, right? Let's not forget what happened recently with Vanity Fair, because it all leads into why there's a civil war, right? Is that we are inevitable. We are the powerful. We will kill you. You don't know who got guns. And on top of that, what your anger is really just churched up fear. It's really just churched up fear. And to segue into the Vanity Fair about the idea of a civil war, the war is within you. The war is within y'all. So let's check out some of these photos. I'm sure y'all have seen them. First up, we have Caroline Leavitt. This makes it a little bigger here. Caroline Leavitt. And of course, people were making fun of her image because it was, you know, you can see within her lips, there was the injection lines for her fillers. But also, look, as a black man, I love being black. And with that, we look good when we when we age. Oh, I guess it's not popping up. I'm sorry, folks. Let's see here. Uh-oh. Still not there. Still not there. Oh, man. Sorry, folks. Ooh. Let me know in the chat if y'all can see this. Looks like you can't. Oh, man. Oh, crappers. Okay, well, either way, y'all seen them. God, that pisses me off. I really wanted to show them and talk about them. But maybe I'll do a clip and overlay it. But, you know, you have Caroline Leavitt. You have Marco Rubio. You have Susie Weil, who is Donald Trump's ostensible chief of staff. You have J.D. Vance. You have Stephen Miller. And all of their portraits look terrible. All of them look terrible because they're terrible people. They're terrible people. And they have lost the war for having a sense of self. So what do? They feel small. They feel weak. So they gather with other people who also feel small and feel weak. And they say, feel weak, excuse me. And they say, we must tackle these other people. We must take over these other people. We must dominate. We talked about the last episode with patriarchy. Dominate me, daddy. They're used to being dominated. My job is dominating me. This social construct of femininity, of white femininity, is dominating me. This social construct of being a loser and not having a Latina girlfriend like Stephen Miller, that's dominating me. This social construct of not being the wealthiest, and I'm from a poor town in Kentucky and Ohio like J.D. Vance, that is dominating me. I am tired of being dominated. And I want to do the domination. Not let's get rid of the domination in society, but I just want to take on the reins. And this is why within the black community, we must reject the idea that black capitalism will save us. Because capitalism itself isn't exploitative. It's rapacious. It's violent. It needs sexism, racism, homophobia for it to exist. It needs people to be poor for you to be rich. This is what we must undo of the big fluff. So, but those pictures, to go back to the idea of what the title is about, is that it exposes these are just regular people. It exposes that Caroline Leavitt, with her gaudy ass fucking cross on her chest, they should be burning a hole. I mean, I'm an atheist, but I don't believe this shit anyway. But, you know, this idea that it shouldn't burn a hole through her fucking sternum is nothing but a small, pathetic person. She's inconsequential. She's a mouthpiece. She's up there doing the business of misogynists and patriarchs that only need her. Her only utility is her ability to repeat what white men who are insecure think. Remember what I said about patriarchy last week? Patriarchy, yes, of course, it puts down women, but is a system of broken men consistently and constantly trying to impress other broken men. That's all patriarchy is. So when you hear Trump say we're being laughed at, he is saying I'm broken, I'm scared, and I see Xi Jinping control China with billions of people, and Russia, Vladimir Putin, he looks strong to me. Kim Jong-un in North Korea, he looks strong to me. Bolsonaro, he likes me. So it's flattery, right? And it's fluffing. But in reality, that gets put onto the nation. If women, we think about how in the past, when, during World War II, women started taking jobs and roles, and that allowed them, in anything that got, anything that women did became undervalued, right? It got defunded. The same thing here. We start seeing women CEOs and women-led, organizations, or Black-led or Latina-led, or, LGBTQ-led. These, to a patriarch, a white supremacist patriarchal system, all are death knells. So when you have someone like a Trump, who, I believe it was in 2020, that it's going to be 2024, if we let Kamala Harris, that is the end of America. Yes, it is. In the mind of a patriarch. In the mind of a patriarch, this is a white man's country. And then we have certain people that are unwilling to do the hard work of looking themselves in the eye to say, what hard work do I need to do? And let me explain to my friends, my compatriots out there that believe themselves to be white, because again, you are not a white person. If you can do something and I can do something, and they're the exact same thing, that is not the work. That is not the hard work. So when I hear people say, well, I canvassed for Kamala Harris and I knocked doors and I voted for Kamala Harris or Joe Biden or whatever the case may be, I can do that. Now, what I can't do is go inside of a MAGA rally, sit there, like, look at me, right? I got locks, I'm Black. Those two things are crimes punishable by death in this country. I can't just walk up in there and say, all right, and then destabilize some shit, push back, talk, because they still see you as a human being. You were not racialized. So it is time for you to use that privilege to destroy that privilege. And if you don't get what I'm saying, check out this video. And this brother here, he goes by the Woke Farmer. He is relentless on social media. He's constantly going in front of the Heritage Foundation. Fuck you, Nazis! You fucking Nazis! I fuck with him, but he asked this question, and I'm going to answer it for him because I respect this brother enough. But this is a very common question, so let's check it out and talk about it in a second.
You know what really confuses me about MAGA people? They're all hardworking blue-collar fellas like myself. They work, they drink, they get in fights at the bar. Stereotypical fucking Americans. But for some fucking reason, they like to elect these spineless fucking pieces of shit. These fucking MAGA representatives, these MAGA senators, they ain't nothing. They never worked a day in their lives. They never swung a hammer. They never fucking dug a hole. They never chopped down a fucking tree. These ain't no country folk. These ain't no fucking hard-working Americans. They're slimy fucking scumbags who went to fucking Ivy League schools, and they're good at pretending that they're, gonna crack down on the swamp. They're gonna drain the swamp. They're gonna crack down.
All right. So you guys could check out the rest of that video. Again, on our show, I'm not going to do a bunch of full clips, but we'll do bits and pieces. Then we'll just kind of analyze them. But that's the Woke Farmer. Now he's asking the question: why are these blue collar, good Americans, white people, again, why do they vote for these spineless Republicans? They've never swung a hammer. They never dug a ditch. I remind us why white people vote for the Republican Party, who are spineless men who have only pushed paper their entire lives. A Ted Cruz, a Josh Hawley, a Mike Johnson, a Donald Trump, who has never lived a singular second of his life in our shoes. Not a moment has he had to wonder about what it's like to go buy shoes for his children or to go buy food. This was a person on the campaign trail. Jolly Good Ginger brought this up. That was talking about, oh, I saw the cans of milk on the shelf. He doesn't even understand how we buy milk. But why did these people vote for these yellow belly, spineless, I call them jellyfish because they're blind, spineless, and set adrift? Why do they vote for these political jellyfish? Well, I'll tell you why, the Woke Farmer. Because they offer to maintain the status quo. And what's the status quo? Racial hierarchy, gendered hierarchy, sexual orientation hierarchy, religious hierarchy. People during the election were so quick to say Kamala Harris needs to get away from the identity politics. Identity politics. I don't remember a single time of her saying, I'm a black woman. I'm a daughter of immigrants. My mother was Indian, South Asian. I'm an AKA. I don't remember any of this. She just was. Donald Trump ran on identity politics the entire time. He has never stopped running on identity politics since even before he came down that fucking escalator. Remember, is Barack Hussein Obama? Is he's coming for you? And let us not forget the allegations of him being a Muslim came from the Clinton campaign. We got to call balls and strikes on this show. That actually came from the Hillary Clinton campaign. And Donald Trump co-opted. Again, another example of how Democrats load the gun and Republicans pull the trigger. Very similar to the genocide in Palestine. We got to be real. This show will never prioritize any sort of, well, that minority. No, it's all human rights on the same level. And that is what Donald Trump ran on. He ran on that uppity woman. She's bleeding from all over the place. Remember he said that about Megyn Kelly? Remember he said that Mika Brzezinski, that she was bleeding or that she had got a facelift or something. She grabbed by the pussy. He offered small men, small white men. Why do they vote? He never swung a hammer. He don't need to swing a fucking hammer. He's promising them an America that they never lived in, that never existed, that will come back again. He's promising that to them. And that, honestly, is why Fox News exists. But why would they vote for them? They're poor. This is the psychological wage of whiteness that W.E.B. Du Bois told us about 100 years ago. But when I try to educate my white compatriots, my people that believe themselves to be white that are my friends, oh, that's divisive. We can't. Now, what they're really saying is I'm afraid to talk to my daddy. I'm afraid to talk to my husband. I'm afraid to talk to my son. So what's the easy out that the media gives us? Well, they have a messaging problem in the Democratic Party, which is true, because the messages they put out are right wing and they align with the Republican Party, because this has been a right wing country. Again, America is a white supremacist, chauvinistic death cult. Never forget that, and that is bipartisan. But if you, out of the two options, who was closest to maintaining some semblance of your humanity? If you had to gun to head, and that it feels like that closer and closer every fucking day, gun to head, it would be the Democratic Party. And you push on the people that you think you have influence with, to still see you as a human, to still at least gesture towards your humanity. You at least say, okay, look, can you do better? It doesn't mean I want you to lose, but I want you to do better. So when he asked the question, why are these spineless people? I am remiss to say, because of whiteness. And when the media and our political leaders, whether it be local, statewide, or federally, tell us, I'm a moderate, I'm not going to stuff this down your throat. Some of us, again, I just gave you the example of Kamala Harris. Her just being was, they would say, you're forcing her down our throats. You're forcing your ideology down our throats. Just existing. So if I'm trans, just being trans to them is, you stop forcing it down my throats. Okay, I just want a job. I want a job here. I'm trans. I can't work here. I can't become a CEO. Okay, I'm a black woman. I can't be the president. Okay, I'm an immigrant. I can't be the mayor of New York City. Who is playing into identity politics? And then when they can't get what they want, civil war. And again, it's never a civil war. We just want to bring back the red summer of 1919. If you guys don't know what that is, Google it. This is a summer of violence. Well, it's right around the Roaring 20s, right? 1919. economic downturn, white people not feeling like they have a place to go, violence towards black people. After Charlie Kirk, what happened? The very first thing, HBCUs getting bomb threats. The release valve for white insecurity has always been, let's murder these Negroes. Let's string them up. Let's kill them. Let's burn down their institutions, their homes. Tulsa was 1921. Don't forget this. Learning history is extremely radicalizing. But what happens is we have people who are ostensibly on our side who will say, well, we need to understand them, and I'm not trying to be a crazy Democrat. Republicans don't apologize for shit that they are. They don't apologize for shit. I'm not trying to force I just want to make sure, can you come over here a little bit? And they're like, no. And the reason why, and this is why I always press back on my Democratic friends or folks that believe themselves to be these political leaders, they haven't read a fucking book. They're not of truly any margin. They'll say, I'm a woman, I'm a white woman, but you're a white woman first. They live in these enclaves, whether it be in Charlotte, whatever city, town you're in, and they want to tell us why they know better. They've never had to survive white supremacy. In fact, even though they benefited from white supremacy, it doesn't mean you weren't poor, but you've benefited from white supremacy, that you know better than the rest of us. So then we keep resetting the cycle. So what happens? We get into these quote unquote political, strategy conversations. And people start saying, well, we have to appeal to these people, those people. And we now have officially of 2025, 60 years of data that proves that the overwhelming majority of voters in this country that are white, that believe themselves to be white, will always vote for the more fascist candidate of the two. If there's two options, the overwhelming majority of white voters, the people that believe themselves to be white, will vote for the more fascist candidate. And when people tell you that we need to moderate and meet them in the middle, why is that? Why is that on people who are ostensibly on our side? Tell us this. It's because they too believe a lie, right? If I believe I'm a white person, which is a political invention, just like anything else, if I believe I'm white, that means I can believe other lies. Whiteness is an invention, just like these borders between states, between how our presidency works, the Constitution, Senate, Congress, the Electoral College, healthcare. All of these things are political inventions, which is why we get into political debates and elections to change the things that exist. Right? Whiteness is one of those things, but for some reason, that's always off the table. We can't discuss unlearning that you're also holding on to a lie. Because every time you call yourself, I'm a white progressive, I'm a white liberal, you're still saying I'm white, which means that I'm better than you. Because that's what it was invented for. And just because you don't know that doesn't mean it doesn't have the same efficacy in society today. And some people will say, well, hold on, Ron, well, isn't blackness made up then? Correct. But the difference between black culture and why white culture doesn't exist, is because my ancestors were forced to create out of necessity. There was the Yoruba, the Ashanti, the Igbo, all these different tribes that did not speak the same language, have the same practices, but they knew these motherfuckers that look like that want us here. So we're okay, you got the drums, you got the spices, okay, you got the hand signals, and we created a culture, hence black culture. Whiteness was an invention for Europeans, and honestly, let's be honest, it wasn't the best Europeans. It wasn't the best. The best one stayed in Europe. The huddled masses, the unwashed, the ones yearning to breathe free came here. The ones that were not wealthy, and there was an investment strategy that if you choose to keep these Negroes down and you buy into this racialized, this new invented phrase of a racial hierarchy, you too can succeed here. So they had to negotiate away their Irishness, their Germanness, their Frenchness, their Britishness, their Greekness, their Spanishness, their Italianness. They got rid of all that in a negotiation to become this new thing called white. So it makes sense that people that don't even know themselves will be so quick to tell you that you're getting it wrong, even though you have had to outsmart them. You have had to learn how to survive them, to keep your kids together, to do the negotiated politics of, if I run away, the master may kill my wife. If I'm negotiating in 1864 with Abraham Lincoln, but McClellan's on the other side, he wants to keep us in slavery forever. But Lincoln's saying, all you need to go back to Africa. Okay, we have to do this negotiation. Am I working with Bull Connor, or if I'm working with, it's always been a negotiation. And to understand that, to come to a place like this and to know that, it says something about you. But that's why you don't know that shit. So when the woke farmer asks, why do these people vote for that way, is because it maintains that they don't have to have any sense of curiosity. You can remain a perpetual child. Whiteness gives you the ability to be a perpetual child. You don't have to have the hard conversations. You get the warm milk. You get the blankie. You get snuggled in society, where you're always going to see yourself on TV. You're always going to see yourself on the billboards. You're always going to see yourself in leadership. You're always going to see yourself on the Oscars and the Grammys, even though the music isn't that great and the movies are terrible. That is what it offers you. So just to answer that question, and I'm gonna keep diving into this because it is so foundational to America. So I'm gonna leave you all with this last clip here. I think that's all my clips today. Yeah, this last clip here, and this is what it boils down to. This is what white superiority boils down to. I'm just gonna play this one, and then I'm gonna talk about it for maybe a minute on the other side, maybe 2 minutes. But check this shit out.
Young man, you are truly alone. All the young white guys need to team up, because it is us against the world. Everyone hates us. You guys need to wake up to that fact. We need to become racist, and we need to take charge.
And by the way, don't buy into this propaganda that all white girls are just whores. Let's go to fucking Colombia and get a cheap hooker.
Yeah.
This passport bro bullshit, that's Jewish as fuck. That's a Jewish psyop to make you have mongrel babies.
I'm going to give you guys just one quick aside. The gentleman sitting to her left, or right on the screen, is he himself Jewish?
If you're non-white, if I was non-white and I wasn't in this battle like I am, if I was a black dude, I would be a passport bro.
Yeah.
For non-whites, I get it. Because you can go to a third world country and get a much hotter girl. You just can't, as an American with like more money. You can pull something way better in a third world country, but she's going to be brown. But if you're a black dude, or if you're a brown dude, that's fine. If I was non-white, I think I would be a passport bro. But if you're white, we're going to have to wife up these hoes. You're going to have to suck it up and wife up one of these American white girls, and but it'll be okay.
Your race matters that much. Like, your race in 10 generations, your line will have.
This is some sick shit. I'm not going to analyze it as we go through, then we'll finish. Him saying that, if I was a white, first of all, be clear, in this country, Jewish is tantamount to white. And people say, well, no, I'm Jewish and blah, blah, blah. I would ask you, which box do you check when you fill out a mortgage application, a college loan, or what do the police see when they see you? I'm just going to leave it there. But on top of that, for her talking about trying to continue the race, her child is half black. It's all a grift. I can make a ton of money searching for a job right now. I can make a ton of money if I just pivoted and became a right-wing influencer.
Continued, and nobody will care that your great-great-grandmother was a hoe, because you exist and you're more white people. The white race must be preserved at all causes. Because
they're a minority of the population of the planet.
And by the way, girls become hoes when they don't have a guy putting them in line. So if most girls will take on the mindset of the guy that they're dating. So if you're conservative, I'm not saying go out and get some radical and
Yeah, go get somebody that will beat the shit out of you, that will probably do a family annihilation, and will make sure you're chained to a stove, that you have no economic freedom, so therefore you have no freedom of having access to safety. Yeah, just go do that. And she's saying the things that a small-minded, arrested development, ninth grade brain man, like the man sitting next to her, would want her to say. This is internalized patriarchy.
Insane liberal, like that's beyond the pale. But most girls will kind of meld into who you are, and if you just put them in their place, it'll be fine. And you got.
What is their place? I hear this so much at barbershops. You know, the woman, you need to be in her place. What is their place? Say it with your fucking mouth. What's their fucking place? And as a marginalized man, I empathize because we were told we have a place. What's my fucking place? I'm sick of this shit.
Got to do it for the race.
You got it.
Again, race being a made-up social construct. We got to do it for this lie. We got to do it for the lie, y'all.
Race.
Well, and again, and circling back, this is why I disagree with these pastors telling all these young men to wait till they're married, because none of the girls are virgins. Being a virgin man marrying a non-virgin woman is a terrible idea. You have no idea what you're getting. She's going to be able to.
What are the odds that he's a virgin? What y'all think? 70%? Never even, doesn't know if it goes this way or if it goes that way. What y'all think?
Just totally control you. You have no idea what you're getting into. So I do not, in America in 2025, I do not recommend waiting till marriage. As a man, if you're a woman, try and stay pure. But as a man, you know.
Pure. What the fuck? This is the sickness that that Donald Trump offered them.
No, none of the girls in this country are virgins. You're not going to find a virgin wife.
Not even children, or to their person they voted for. Even children are pure, so I can defile them. I can take from them. I can steal their innocence.
So if she's going to be ran through, you need to be ran through as well. Ran through. Men aren't run through. Men do the running through.
Yep, because it can't be gay. Can't be gay. That's too queer. Can't be queer. I'm scared to be considered queer.
But yeah, go rack up a body count and then get yourself one of these ran through white women. I'm sorry, we have no choice. This is the situation.
I'm sorry, we have no choice. This is the situation. Good God. Well, this is all they have to offer. If they didn't have hatred, division, racism, bigotry, homophobia, xenophobia, they wouldn't have anything to run on. Look at Trump yesterday. He couldn't, there's nothing he could talk about as positive. So he just talked about the immigrants and Joe Biden's the worst. And they have no plans. But some people don't want plans. We have to understand that we're dealing with people who are, yes, they're hostage takers. And sometimes you can't negotiate with the hostage taker because they just like taking hostages. They just like taking hostages. Folks, I'm over 15 minutes. I'm so sorry. I'm trying to make this 30 minutes, y'all. But y'all, the conversation's so good. I will be back tomorrow with more Roots Rundown. We will be back tonight for our show proper. So tune into that 8:30. I am your host, Peyron Baxter, and I do hope you enjoy the rest of your Thursday. Heads up.